What's up, everyone? It's Wacka. Welcome you to a video about the prep doc. Um, I decided to make a video. I don't know how long it'll be, but I decided to make a video on how to use the prep doc and how to use all of its functions because um, I've noticed that there's a lot of people that are trying to get into draft again, um, and I'm sure it would be very helpful if they knew where they can get and how, well, I guess where they can get like a prep doc and how they can get better at the game. And I think this prep doc is very helpful in doing so. Um, so starting things off, I'm Wacka. This is not my template for a prep doc, but I have taken over this doc since Scarlet and Violet came out because um, the old um the old caretaker of the prep doc, I guess I should say, Ballhawk does no longer play draft. I don't think. Um, he's off living life and having fun, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like the way that he ran his doc. It was super nice and consistent, and I love the formatting and all the options that you could do with it. So I decided, hey, why not I'll just learn how to Google Doc it up, and yeah, I've been kind of maintaining it since. There's also some other people that are doing things with the prep doc, like Techno and Cycle X, um, and I've seen their docs, and I think they're pretty good too. But I think for people that prefer Ballhawk's style of the prep doc, because I think his was definitely the most popular at the time. Um, this is the one I've been maintaining, and it's just a little bit more consistent in my opinion, and I'm a little bit OCD, so if there's something that's just like slightly off, like, you best bet that I will do anything I can in my power to change it or to fix it. So yeah, and then also feel free to join SDS. That is my league. um, we're starting a little cup season pretty soon here, I guess within like the next month. I'd like to get some more players, um, and we do something fun every season. So yeah, feel free to join. Now, I guess I can get into some naming conventions. Um, I have, like, with Mega Evolutions, you type in Mega, Charizard X or Y, or Mewtwo X or Y. So the word Mega will always be in front of everything. And most of the menus have drop downs anyway, so if you just type in Charizard, something like Mega Charizard X will probably pop up. There's also like the Rillaboom Gmax thing. I actually removed Gmax from the prep doc, so I probably should just delete this entirely. But um, I guess if you guys want me to add back Gmax for whatever reason, um, feel free to tell me that you need it. But I couldn't really find any formats where Gmax or like Dynamax was allowed anyways on like Showdown or anything, and no one's playing Sword and Shield anymore, so I figured I'd just delete all of them and have a little bit more space in case things got out of hand, which I've noticed they kind of are a little bit. My dock has been loading a little bit slowly lately, but I put it down to me living in the middle of nowhere and also probably having a lot of space on my computer that needs to be like deleted. So yeah, and then we got Darmanitan Galar, Ninetales Alola. These are just like highlighting regional variants, and the same for like the Paldean forms. If there's a male or a female form, I'll usually put male and I'll usually put a female form. But I think for the most part, I default to male form. Um, I guess I could test that later. But I think with most Pokemon, it's like Indeedee without the male, and if you want Indeedee female, you type in the dash F. Same with like Basque Legion, especially if they have different stats. If they barely have any changes like Jellicent, like, they're probably not on the dock. People have also told me to just change Palafin and Terapagos to just Palafin and Terapagos because there's not. It should be Terastal. But anyways, yeah, because these are their battle forms that you're going to be using for the most part. Like, you're not really staying in with like the baby Palafin very often, and most people are calcing with the hero form. So I decided to just default them to Palafin and Terrapagos just to make things easier to copy paste from like other leagues and such. And again, we have a lot of drop-down menus, so you can sort stats by like speed, attack, HP. For most of the time, you'll probably be sorting by speed because I think speed is the most important stat in drafts. So yeah, there's that. You can also change the budget on the draft HQ tabs. And you could also change like the format. I'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, there's some menus to change that kind of thing. You can also collapse and expand menus if you think some stuff is a little bit too like cluttered. Feel free to like close those on the sidebar. You see like the minus sign, you can just close them and click plus to open them. On the teams tab, you can just enter all of your teams and also enter all of your opponents. I'll just show y'all like once we get there. Matchup center, draft HQ, and we'll use all these features. I'll also have to add something for the wish list on the bottom at some point. But I will explain how all that works later. So as you can see, this is the teams tab. Hopefully it's easy enough to see because I know I'm trying to record like the entire screen, even if most of the tabs aren't using like the entire screen. But yeah, this is the teams tab. You can just type in the league name here. So for this one, I just have league name, but you can type in like Sacred Draft Shrine or whatever league you're in. I'm just gonna undo that. Oops. Girl, excuse me. Okay. Yeah, so we have our Pokemon here. I recommend you don't touch these sprite tabs at all. So if you're copy pasting, only copy paste like the names of the Pokemon, because it will mess up the sprites and stuff if you aren't doing that. You can have up to 12 team slots. I might at some point add a feature that allows you to add more Pokemon. I think for the most part, leagues cap you at 11 mons anyways, but I'm actually currently in a league where you can have more than 11 Pokemon, but you can only have 11 active at once, so I'm not really bothering to like change that. And as you can see, this is how Terrapagos works, and Palafin. I have both of them on there just to show people. And I believe you get like 10 tabs to do so. You can also type in your notes. You could be like, Diancie beats everything, something like that. Or what I like to do in my prep doc is just put in like my matchup data, or like my scheduling data. So I could say like game at Thursday, 6 p.m. EST. Just to make sure that I remember when all my games are, because I know a lot of people, well, I guess not a lot of people, but some people are in a lot of leagues, and it really sucks when people don't show up to play their matches, so I think it's just easier. Also, on the top, you can see this link will always link you to this prep doc, so if there's a new update, or if you want to see if there is a new update, you could always look at this prep doc. I will always change on the cover, by the way, that the document is ready for copying. And if I'm working on the doc, it'll say the document is under construction. Check back at a later time. So if you are trying to copy the prep doc and you see that I'm on it, likely wait for me to change this to this document is ready for copying. Sometimes I forget to change it, but if you realize like some stuff is really off, then you're probably a little bit too early and you should check back a little bit later. Yeah, we are actually on version 8.0.1. I'll put in the release notes. I'll actually show you the release notes after this too. I changed this to Diancie. Ballhawk had it on Talonflame, but I think Diancie is more fitting for something that I'm running. You could also change it to black and white sprites, and you could also change it to shiny if you would like to use shiny home sprites. I don't know why this is not shiny. Oh, hello. What? Okay, there we go. I don't know. Usually that loads like right away, but yeah. I usually keep it on Pokemon Home and not Shiny, because it's a little bit reliant on Showdown uploading the black and white sprites, and for some reason they're just taking forever to do that. If I can find a way to use it from like the favorite Pokemon Picker website, because they have every sprite on there, I'll probably do that because I would personally rather use the black and white sprites. But for now, hope the home sprites are the most. It's it's just the most consistent with like art styles and stuff. Um, so yeah, and I'll actually talk about the release notes for now. It just kind of shows what I've been adding. If you're wondering why it's not on version 8 anymore, it's because I added Gimme Ghoul roaming, and I also added a few more move pool additions, although I tend to do that between updates anyways. Like if someone tells me, I think recently it was Mr. Mime had Rapid Spin, but it doesn't actually learn Rapid Spin, so I had to change that. Um, that was definitely something that Ballhawk did in the past, but it's fine. Um, and then I removed Gmax forms entirely. But if you guys want me to add that back, let me know. Why is this? I'm so bad. That is when that happened. Um, I am still potentially thinking about adding like better speed tiers. Um, However, I just haven't gotten around to do that. Um, and yeah. So now I'll go into the matchup center. Um, this is something I'm considering changing the colors for a little bit. I've showed people my prep doc. Like personally, I've been using like these colors. But you could always like change them on your own time. Like if you would rather change these colors, you could always just go in here, change these colors, and like kind of drag it around if you want. So it's nothing that I have to do specifically, but if you guys want that, you can do that yourself. So yeah, I just figured I'd share that while I was there. So here you can see everything overall. You can see typing and abilities. Um, Most people will be looking at this part with the sprites view where it has these speed tiers listed a lot better. And then you could also scroll down to see the type chart. So if you're wondering like, oh, what is my opponent weak to? You can see like, oh, my opponent is really weak to Fairy. His only Fairy resist is Pecharunt. So I'm going to be spamming Moonblast with a Diancie, I guess. So you can do that type of thing. It'll flash red. If you're weak to it, it'll be green. If you're not as weak to it, it'll be gray if it's mostly neutral. And then here you can see team stats if you want to change this to like HP or like defense. You could do that. I personally don't really mess with this part because the other stats up here, like speed is the most important, I feel. Although I do also like, I would recommend maybe using like defense or like specialty defense because you could also see like some weaknesses there, but you could also kind of see that from like just looking at the average. So as you can see, like this team on the side, which is completely made up by the way, is very weak to like special attacks. So it's a little bit helpful if you want to see that. These are like some speed tier things. Their base speed without EVs is on the side here. You could set it to like level 100, 252 EVs, 31 IVs with a positive nature. You could also do like a +6 boost or like a -6 boost. Although I will say, I think it's a lot easier just to use the damage calculator for that type of thing because there's some things on there that like it's hard to take into account like Quark Drive, speed, and stuff like that. It doesn't really account for Choice Scarf, which is why I wanted to change these speed tier charts a little bit. We'll see if I can get around to doing that and such. But you could always change it. The boosts, you can change the IVs. For the most part, people will be using 31 and 0. If you want, you could also do like any set of EVs. You could change your level to 5, 50, and 100, which it'll be helpful for people that are playing in Little Cup SDS next season to change the speed tiers to 0. or to change the speed tiers to level 5. Going down to here, you can see stuff like hazards. I have Stealth Rock Spikes, T-Spikes, Sticky Web, Defog, Rapid Spin. I might consider adding Tidy up here, but there's only like 3 mods that get it anyways, so I wasn't like too cracked on my butt to add that. I'd also probably have to figure out how to get this to work, to be honest, because I haven't really messed with this type of coding too much. And I feel like it might be a little bit tough to add that, but I can always try. There's always, I have the healing and the cleric side of things too. You can see what gets wish, healing wish. You can read these. It's pretty self-explanatory. We also have like momentum, priority, disruption, which includes like taunt, knockoff, just things that like make the game like change a little bit. Mostly what I have for disruption. Trapping, if you're worried about like Doug Trio trapping you, you could see like, oh, it has arena trap. Or like, oh, like Starmie gets whirlpool, so I could get like whirlpool trapped. Stuff like that. Phasing is pretty important. Honestly, I think phasing is more important. I should probably move this up slightly, but I mean, either way, like you can scroll down and see these, but shows all the phasing moves. And all like the stat clearing moves too, like haze and clear smog, rather than like circle, throw, dragon tail, roar, whirlwind, stuff like that. We got our HP cutting moves like pain split, endeavor, just things that kind of, do things. I don't think Dragon Rage and Sonic Boom are like important, but I think they're still in the prep doc if you guys want to use them. But yeah, status, we have all these status moves. It's always helpful for me to figure out like with a team, even because the draft HQ isn't able to show everything at once. I kind of like the idea of like putting your drafts on the team page and then just scrolling down to see if you have all these things. Because I think it's always nice to have like T-Wave users, like a toxic user, which is pretty much anything before Gen 7. I think Wisp and Yawn are very good too. Speed control options, I think these are important to have as well. Support, weather, terrain, setup, and yeah, that's kind of it. I think it's very self-explanatory, but just in case you didn't know it was there, like, it's nice to know that it was there. The draft HQ is what you're probably going to be looking at for the most part when you're drafting a team. As you can see with this team, which by the way is a reference to a team that I had like 2 years ago. If you guys remember this team, you're the GOAT. But yeah, anyways, it kind of shows everything, like your overall weaknesses, if you have your typings covered. So if I delete Iron Moth here, it's going to show I have 0 poison types, so that's kind of what it's counting, how many of each type you have. And sometimes it's nice to have, because sometimes it's easy to miss the fact, like, oh, I have like 5 fairies, and I probably only need like 1 or 2. And you can always see like the stats on here. You could also sort the stats. You can even sort them by like base stat total, which I think is cool. For the most part, again, you'll be using speeds because speed tiers are important. You can see like, oh, this Pokemon gets rocks, spikes, T-spikes, webs, defog, rapid spin, but you could always change these moves too. Like if you don't really value wish anyways, and you value a mon that gets like snowscape, you can just change it to that. So it can be built for whatever you want. I think potentially I'll add more options here, or just like change this tab like entirely. There's like this backend data thing that kind of shows like everything. However, it's really hard to read, and I can't really. It's hard to add some of these, but I will have to mess with this immunities tab at some point because I think some of them are a little bit wrong, but I could also be wrong on that. If you guys actually catch any of these like abilities that are wrong, please let me know. Or if I'm missing one. I think for the most part I will probably be like missing some of them. But yeah, And again, you can change the format to SV. SV is basically like the national dex. I think at some point I probably will just change this to say national dex. Probably when Gen 10 comes up, because that's when I'm gonna have to change SV to like whatever Gen 10 is anyways. Um, you could also change this to Paldea. I think all these mons exist in Paldea. What's a mon that doesn't exist in Paldea? Like Blacephalon. Blacephalon doesn't exist in Paldea, so oop, maybe. Well, it's supposed to have like this sprite that says like it doesn't exist, but obviously I've messed something up there. I might have copy paste things, but you could probably switch this to like swish. Yeah, as you can see, Crocolar doesn't exist. It's supposed to use the fucking question mark symbol. I don't know what is going on with this stuff, to be honest, but oh, you know what? I know exactly what it is. Yeah, I'll have to fix that at some point. Um, Anyways, as you can see, I'm a little bit sloppy. We make some mistakes sometimes, but I've been trying to add some new features to the dock, and cool stuff like that. Next up, we have the wish list. This is actually something I've added completely to the prep doc. On here, you can sort things by like typing. I think that's the most useful things to sort by. I think overall, like, I personally like to sort things by like primary type, except for this Hatterene for whatever it is like pure. It's psychic first, but whatever. So you can like just type stuff in like, oh, I want to use Terapagos. I want to use Megalopony, for example. You could do that. You can just type it in there, and like I think it's an easy way to just track like, oh, this is a mon I've wanted to try. And then sometimes when you're drafting, like, oh, I kind of forgot I wanted to try this, because you know there's just so many mons now that it's helpful to know like what you wanted and what you want to try, and you can maybe try to build a team around like what you wanted. And I think it's not like the most useful thing in the world. I personally don't even really use this that much, because I just kind of grab like whatever's on the board that I want at the time. But if you forget some ideas that you want to try, like for me, I think Bombardier is one. Like I really want to use Bombardier in like some aspect, but it's like hard to fit on a draft, or like by the time I remember that it exists, I already have like a flying or a dark type that just does its job better. So yeah, there's the wish list. This is the find page. I don't think this is super helpful, because I personally think it's much easier to use I think it's just easier to use Pokemon Showdown. But if in case you wanted to do something, you can sort certain things. Like if you're playing Oras, you can switch this to Oras, for example. You can change like the typing of Pokemon that you want to learn, Stealth Rock. So I think a lot of the time people will be like, what psychic types get Stealth Rock, for example? And like here's a list of psychic types that get Stealth Rock. Or maybe even if you want like is there like a nothing option? I thought there would be like a nothing option. Maybe if you want like a defogger with levitate, so you're not switching in on like spikes. Typing of interest, I should probably add like a nothing, but I think you can just erase this. Yeah, you can just erase it. You can do that with, yeah, that's how you do that. I think I might want to make like a none option, so it's a little bit more clear what you can do. But yeah, you can sort it by speed. You can make it alphanumeric, or you can sort it by dex number, which I think is nice. You can change it from descending to ascending, stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit helpful, but I also think it's easier to use Showdown for that kind of thing. But it's there if you want it. Now we got like the links tab. Don't even bother touching this unless you find like an issue somewhere. I don't know. This is what the problem was though before. I need to fix the typings and the slots that they're in, because I think when I was deleting some stuff, the coding on here changed, but it didn't actually reflect what was happening. So yeah, this SV or like Paldia or just like any of the formats, it just shows like all of the information, and that's where it's pulling on the draft HQ stuff for like moves. If you do run into an issue where you're like, oh, Mr. Mime doesn't actually get rapid spin, you can actually just kind of go in here and then delete or add something that you actually know like learns a certain move or like gets a certain ability or whatever. You can add that, but I would also just recommend like please just like at me if you find something wrong with the prep doc, because I think it's kind of hard to keep track of everything, but if you can tell me, I'll just add it, and it'll be ready for whenever you feel like updating it. I'm not gonna change this to like 8.8 just because I added sticky webs to Meowscarada if for whatever reason that mon suddenly learns that move. But yeah, and yeah, I think that's about it. Um, this video is a lot longer than I was expecting it to be honest, but um, just in case some newer players wanted something easy to use, this is always there for them. I believe currently it's like in my bio. Let me see before I'm like wrong about that, because it was in my bio at some point. Oh, I have streamer mode enabled. I can't. Okay, well, whatever. I can't see, but I'm pretty sure it's in my bio always. If I update the doc, I'll be plugging this in like every league that I'm in. I'm not in a ton of leagues anymore, but for the ones I'm in, I like to award the people that are nice to me so they can have a nice prep doc to use. And yeah, hopefully you guys find this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comments or yell at me in SDS and spam ping me because I did something wrong. Yeah, and thank you for watching.